Experiment 1, the Marshmallow Test, is a famous experiment conducted by psychologist Walter Mischel in the late 1960s and early 1970s. Its purpose was to examine children's ability to delay gratification and explore the long-term implications of self-control. The experiment had a significant impact on our understanding of self-regulation and its effects on various life outcomes. Experimental process. The marshmallow test involved placing a child in a room with a marshmallow or another tempting treat. The researcher offered the child a choice. They could either eat the treat immediately or wait for a short period, usually 15 minutes, and receive an additional treat as a reward. During this time, the child was left alone, and their behavior was observed through a one-way mirror. Experimental results and analysis. The results of the marshmallow test were striking. Some children were able to resist the temptation and wait for the second treat, while others succumbed to immediate gratification. Follow-up studies revealed that children who demonstrated the ability to delay gratification during the experiment had better life outcomes in several areas. Impact on human beings. The marshmallow test had a profound impact on our understanding of self-control and its implications for success in various domains of life. Subsequent research found that children who exhibited better self-control during the experiment were more likely to have higher academic achievement, better social skills, lower levels of substance abuse, and improved mental health in adolescence and adulthood. The findings from the marshmallow test also highlighted the importance of early interventions and strategies for developing self-control skills in children. Educators, parents, and policymakers began to explore ways to support children in improving their self-regulation abilities, as they recognized the potential long-term benefits of fostering self-control from an early age. Experiment 2, the Stanford Prison Experiment. The Stanford Prison Experiment, conducted by psychologist Philip Zimbardo in 1971, aimed to study the psychological effects of perceived power and authority in a simulated prison environment. The experiment raised significant ethical concerns but provided valuable insights into the power dynamics and potential for abuse within institutional settings. Experimental process. Participants were randomly assigned to the roles of prisoners or guards in a simulated prison environment set up in the basement of Stanford University. The prisoners were subjected to various degrading and psychologically distressing conditions, while the guards were given uniforms and instructions to maintain control over the prisoners. The experiment was originally planned to run for 2 weeks. Experimental results and analysis. The Stanford Prison Experiment took a dark turn as the guards began to exhibit abusive and authoritarian behavior towards the prisoners. The prisoners, on the other hand, experienced heightened levels of stress, anxiety, and feelings of powerlessness. The experiment had to be terminated after only 6 days due to the extreme and unethical behavior displayed by the participants. The results of the Stanford Prison Experiment raised significant ethical concerns regarding the treatment of human participants in research. They highlighted the potential for individuals to be influenced by assigned roles and the abuse of power. The study emphasized the need for robust ethical guidelines in psychological research and sparked discussions on the boundaries of conducting experiments involving human subjects. Experiment 3, the Asch Conformity Experiment. Conducted by social psychologist Solomon Asch in the 1950s, aimed to investigate the extent to which individuals would conform to group pressure, even when it contradicted their own judgment and perception. The experiment demonstrated the power of social influence and conformity. Experimental process. Participants were brought into a room with several other individuals, who were actually confederates of the experimenter. The participants were presented with a series of lines of different lengths and were asked to identify which line matched a given standard line in length. In each trial, the confederates purposely gave incorrect answers, while the participant was positioned to answer last. Experimental results and analysis. The results of the Asch Conformity Experiment were surprising. Despite the correct answer being obvious, participants often conformed to the incorrect answers provided by the confederates. Asch found that around 75% of participants conformed at least once during the experiment, even when they knew the group consensus was incorrect. Interviews conducted after the experiment revealed that participants often experienced considerable discomfort and self-doubt when their judgments conflicted with the group. Impact on human beings. The Asch conformity experiment highlighted the strong influence of social pressure and the human tendency to conform to group norms, even when they contradict our own perception and judgment. It demonstrated the power of social influence and conformity. Shedding light on the mechanisms that drive individuals to modify their behavior to fit in with a group, the findings from the Asch conformity experiment have had a lasting impact on our understanding of social psychology, group dynamics, and the influence of peer pressure. They have been instrumental in shaping our knowledge of conformity, obedience, and the importance of individual autonomy in decision-making processes. These 3 experiments, the Marshmallow Test, the Stanford Prison Experiment, and the Asch Conformity Experiment, have significantly contributed to our understanding of human behavior, self-regulation, social influence, and the impact of authority and power dynamics. They have stimulated further research, sparked ethical discussions, and informed interventions and strategies aimed at promoting positive outcomes in various aspects of human life.